In this week's city update, I wanted to get started by finishing off my wheat field because I finally received all my parts. To quickly explain what I'm doing, I am using 3L and 4L bar pieces, and I'm capping them off with this small Technic piece. I really thought this was going to be a much quicker process than it is, but because of the number of parts I needed to do this entire wheat field, it felt like this was going to take an absolute eternity. To explain some of what I did, if you'll notice, there's like low spots and high spots. All the low spots are the 3L bar pieces, and the high spots are the 4L bar pieces. And I did that because I wanted to add a little bit of depth to it. And when you're looking out over and across it, I feel like it really accomplished that look well. With the wheat field finished, I decided to come over here, and now I want to add a water tower. To build the water tower, I started off with a simple base, and in order to run the wire through, I am using a 2x4 plate to support it in the center, and that is where the wire is going to come through the base of that. Now to lock these together, I am going to use a 2x6 plate to hold that all together. Now we're just going to take some of these fence pieces and put some tiling on top of them and build this all the way around. This is going to give us our basic structure for the water tower. For the walls of the tower, I'm just going to be using regular brick and 4x4 panel pieces. This is going to make roughing it up very quick. Scooby-Doo speed. And now before we go any further, I want to run a light up and inside to this because I want to have a red flashing light on the top. Part of the base of the tower is just using a whole bunch of 2x2 bricks with a hole in the center of it, and that is the reason why. It's so I could run this wire all the way through and up inside of this tower. So now let's slide this into the base. With that wire up and through the base, we can start working on what we're going to put on the top. This is what I came up with for the top. I'm using an 8x8 plate, and I'm just placing these bricks all the way around it, and then I'm using on corners, I'm using a 3x3 that is a curved slope part to rough the corners up and to make them nice and smooth. And you're probably wondering what the odd pattern is for inside of here, and let me show you. The first reason is I have to drill a hole through this plate for my light. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it just to prevent any types of problems. That way I can slide my wire straight through, and I'm going to put a plate over top of that. The plate will hold it nice and steady and in position, so we never have to worry about it falling off. Now the reason for this pattern is because I'm going to take that and lay the wire down and out. And by doing that pattern that I had underneath, it's going to prevent the wire from being pinched. We will cover the rest of this with some 2x4 tiles to give it a nice finished look. And now we can plug our wire into the inside of the top water tower. And with that plugged together, we can take this, set it out, and then press the top of the tower down onto the base. With the top of the tower done, and I'm leaving this notched because I'm bringing up a stairwell or a ladder, if you will. With this done though, let's get to work on the base. But first, let's click this onto the center. For the steel work on the base, I wanted to get creative. So I drilled a hole in the center, and that's for the wire that's going up to the top. And then I'm going to be using these 4 discs so I can turn the corner posts inward. And what I've done is I've built 4 of these posts, and then I also have a dish on the top. And we're going to take these and place them and then turn them all to where the opening on the back side of these beams is facing the inside of the build. With all those installed, now I'm using this, which is 2 of this bar clip piece with a 1x4 on top of it. And I'm going to be clipping that in the corners to hold them steady. More Scooby-Doo speed. With those aligned, we're going to take and slide the top onto the build and then slide the wire through the base. And now for one of the hardest parts, which is trying to get all of these to line up and fasten. With that done, I want to add a bunch of these for extra beam work on the inside of it. Now I know doing all this can be an absolute pain to get it and to get it to look right, but once it's done, it really makes the water tower look freaking awesome. Now we can place the ladder on this and let's get it put into the city. To explain how I make the ladder, I am using the standard Lego ladder piece. I'm using the robot arms to attach to the ladder, and then I'm holding the tubing that I sell on my website onto the ladder by the robot arms, like so. The only thing that could possibly make this look better would be I really need to add a name onto this, whether I put it on these sides or these sides. And I think I'm going to do that. To make our sticker, I'm going to come over to my computer and I'm going to use Adobe Illustrator. And I'm going to be also using some clear sticker paper that will be printing the sticker on. Before we start making the sticker, I want to get a rough idea in size. So I'm going to take a tape measure and I'm going to say roughly 3.5 by 2 inches for the sticker size. With Illustrator open, I'm going to create a custom workboard and I'm making it 3.5 by 2 inches in size. Once you're happy with the design, I did a quick test print. Load my clear paper into my printer. Make sure your scale settings are print to do not scale. Now let's print it out. I am printing out 4 stickers. That way I have 2 to mess up and 2 to hopefully get right. And so far I'm really happy with how it looks. Now I'm going to cut these out with a pair of scissors. We have it cut out. Let's see if we can peel it off and get it placed on the water tower. And that's how it looks with the sticker placed. And I plugged everything in just to see how it would look, and I'm really digging this. I added a white light to the front to make the name stand out, but I think this is going to be a great addition to the Lego City. Now, since I'm in this part of the city, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and put more parking here because you can never have enough parking for a Lego City. To build the parking spaces, I'm going to be using a T intersection road base plate. And I'm doing that because I don't need the studs all over in the center. And I've even already made up my parking area. Each parking space is made 7 bricks thick. And to do that, I'm using 7 1x12s, 6 1x4s, 1 1x1 with a stud on one side, and a 1x3. The reason for the stud on one side is because that is what holds the barrier for the parking space. For this part of the city, I use my magnetic connectors. So I have the male on one side and the female on the other. And now I'm going to be placing some 16x16 plates on top, and I have already placed the bricks on the bottom that are going to hold this into place. Now we're going to put 2 2x8 plates on either side. And it's ready to be placed into the Lego City. Everything's tested and working great. Now we got to do a little fill on this back edge. We're going to put a few plants in here, and then we got to fill this area in over here. We also will be ripping out this portion of the sidewalk and getting that level to the road level, just like the other side over here is. Parking lot and sidewalk all added, and now because the old way that I used to ballast my train track took so many parts, I now sell this one-piece ballast part to easily, and I mean easily, ballast your curved train tracks instead of having to use all of these to do the exact same thing. Before I put the new ballast piece on, this is how I get my tracks as smooth as possible. I tile under the edge. That lets the track get down as close as possible to the brick. It is not required though. And I think this is where we're going to leave off for this week's city update. And we will see you next time on Bevins Bricks.